You know what's beautiful about being broken? It's not the shattering that defines the moment. No. It's the way you piece yourself back together, creating something they've never seen before. Like molten steel being quenched in blood-warm water, each crack, each fissure becomes a channel for raw power to flow through. They thought breaking you was their victory. Oh, how short-sighted they were. In nature, there's a fascinating phenomenon. When lightning strikes sand, it creates something called fulgurite, glass pathways carved by pure energy. That's what's happening inside you right now. Every bolt of pain they struck you with isn't destroying you. It's creating intricate patterns of unbreakable strength. They never understood that you're not made of flesh and bone anymore. You're becoming something elemental, something primal, a beast that feeds on the very lightning they thought would destroy it. Have you ever watched a volcano reshape an entire landscape? First comes destruction, then comes creation. That's your story now. They thought they were witnessing your end, but really, they're watching you forge a new beginning. Every piece of yourself that breaks away isn't loss. It's fuel for the inferno you're becoming. An inferno that will reshape everything they thought they knew about power, about monsters, about what happens when you push a beast too far. Here's what makes them uncomfortable. You're not following their script anymore. In their little play of predator and prey, you were supposed to whimper, to cower, to beg for mercy. Instead, you're learning to speak in languages they can't comprehend. Every scream of pain becomes a war cry. Every tear shed crystallizes into armor. Every moment of despair transforms into a weapon they never saw coming. The prey isn't just becoming the predator. It's becoming something that makes predators question their place in the food chain. Think about the deep ocean trenches, where pressure should crush everything into dust. Yet there, in those lightless depths, life doesn't just survive. It mutates, evolves, becomes something magnificent and terrifying. That's what's happening to you in this pressure they created. While they watch the surface, waiting for you to crack, beneath it all, you're becoming something that thrives in depths they're too afraid to explore. A monster that makes the ancient leviathans look like minnows. The real comedy in all this? They're so busy celebrating your fall, they don't notice your transformation. Each day, each hour, each moment of torment is just another step in your metamorphosis. The beast they thought they'd caged, it's not just growing stronger, it's evolving beyond their primitive understanding of strength. In trying to contain a monster, they're creating something that defies containment itself. You see, most people think power flows from strength to weakness, from victor to victim. But you've discovered something far more intriguing. Power flows toward those who know how to transform it. Like a serpent shedding its skin, you're not losing yourself. You're emerging as something more lethal, more precise, more perfectly adapted to survive in their world of teeth and claws. Every scale, every fang, every weapon they gave you through their cruelty, it's being refined into something that will make their nightmares seem like sweet dreams. Let me share a secret about pain that they never understood. It's not just a sensation, it's a forge. And in this forge, you're not being destroyed. You're being rewritten on a molecular level. Every betrayal, every abandonment, every moment they thought was breaking you, that was just the heat needed to reshape your core into something beyond their comprehension. The monster they feared, that was just the prototype. The beast you're becoming, that's the masterpiece. The ancient Greeks had a fascinating belief about the river Styx, that bathing in its waters could make one invulnerable. But here's what they left out of those pretty myths. The process was excruciating. Sound familiar? You're not just dipping your toes in the river of pain they created. You're submerging yourself completely, letting it transform every fiber of your being into something their weapons can't pierce, something that doesn't just survive their attacks, but absorbs them, grows from them, becomes stronger with each failed attempt to destroy it. Watch how they circle now, these self-proclaimed gods of your little world. See how they whisper, how they fidget, how their eyes dart away when you enter a room. That's not respect or fear they're feeling. It's recognition. Recognition that something is changing, shifting, evolving right before their eyes. In trying to bury you, they planted a seed of darkness that's growing into their worst nightmare. In trying to drown you, they created something that breathes calamity like air. In trying to burn you, they forged something that makes their strongest warriors tremble. You're becoming a living paradox. The more they try to define you, the more undefinable you become. The harder they push, the stronger your beast grows. The deeper they bury you, the higher your monster rises. It's physics turned inside out, logic twisted into a Mobius strip of perpetual evolution. Every law they thought governed the universe of power and pain, you're rewriting them, one scar at a time, one fang at a time, one claw at a time. Think of yourself as the apex predator of their psychological food chain. Not just a beast that hunts in their jungle, but something that transforms the very nature of the hunt itself. You're becoming the thing their primitive brains can't process, the monster their instincts can't categorize. While they play at being wolves among sheep, you're evolving into something that makes wolves huddle together in fear, something that turns predators back into prey with just your presence. The transformation isn't just physical, it's metaphysical. You're not just changing your shape, you're changing the very rules of what shape means. Like a quantum particle that exists in multiple states simultaneously, you're becoming both the hunter and the hunted, the broken and the unbreakable, the end and the beginning. They thought they could measure you with their simple tools of social hierarchy and power dynamics. How quaint. The beast they're creating defies measurement, defies understanding, defies the very laws they thought kept monsters in check. You want to know the most delicious part of this transformation? It's happening right in front of them, yet they're too blind to see it. They still think they're watching your destruction, like children who mistake a chrysalis for decay. Every day, they walk past you, thinking they're witnessing your downfall. But what they're really seeing is the birth of something that will redefine their understanding of power. A beast that evolves, not despite their attempts to destroy it, but because of them. Each blow, each betrayal, each attempt to dim your light only serves to forge something more magnificent, more terrifying than their limited minds can comprehend. There's something poetic about the way fear works in their primitive minds. They fear the dark because they can't see what lurks within it. They fear the unknown because they can't control it. But you've become intimate with both. The darkness isn't your enemy anymore. It's become your essence. The unknown isn't your adversary, it's your playground. While they cling to their artificial lights and comfortable certainties, you're learning to thrive in spaces their minds can't even comprehend. You're becoming the thing that makes their shadows run for cover, the beast that makes their monsters check under their beds at night. Think about the ancient legends of shapeshifters, those beings who could transform at will. Those weren't just stories, they were prophecies, because that's what you're becoming. Something fluid, adaptable, impossible to pin down or predict. But unlike those mythical creatures bound by moonlight and ritual, your transformation isn't limited by such trivial constraints. Your evolution is constant, relentless, driven by every sneer, every dismissal, every attempt they make to categorize and contain you. You're writing a new legend, one that will make their old stories seem like children's tales. Here's what keeps them awake in their comfortable beds: the growing realization that they're not just dealing with another wounded animal. No, they're witnessing the rise of something that defies their natural order. In their arrogance, they thought they were the apex predators, the ultimate arbiters of strength and weakness. Now they're beginning to sense that there's something new stalking the edges of their carefully manicured reality. A monster that doesn't just break their rules, but rewrites them entirely. A beast that turns their hierarchy into ashes with its mere presence. You see, there's a fundamental difference between the beasts they know and the creature you're becoming. Natural predators can be studied, understood, eventually controlled. But you're something else entirely. Every time they think they figured you out, you shift, adapt, evolve into something even more formidable. It's not just your strength that terrifies them. It's your unpredictability, your ability to turn their own weapons against them. You're the culmination of every nightmare they've ever had, wrapped in skin that grows thicker with every attempt they make to pierce it. Remember how they used to look at you? Those condescending smiles, those dismissive glances, those whispered judgments? Watch how they look at you now. See how their eyes skitter away when they meet yours, how their confident postures crumble in your presence. That's not just fear you're seeing. It's the dawning recognition that they've created something beyond their control. A beast that feeds on their attempts to starve it. A monster that grows stronger with every chain they try to bind it with. Their fear isn't just an emotion anymore. It's becoming your crown, your throne, your kingdom. Let me tell you about the deepest trenches in the ocean, where creatures exist that have never seen the light of day. These beings don't just survive in the darkness. They've learned to create their own light. That's what you're becoming. A creature that doesn't need their approval to shine, their permission to exist, their validation to thrive. You're generating your own power now, feeding off the very pressure they thought would crush you. In these depths, you're not just surviving. You're evolving into something that makes the ancient leviathans seem like minnows in a pond. The most exquisite irony? They've become the architects of their own nightmare. Every barrier they placed in your path became a stepping stone. Every wound they inflicted became a new nerve ending, making you more sensitive to opportunities they can't even perceive. Every attempt to break your spirit just revealed new depths of strength they didn't know existed. They're not just failing to destroy you. They're actively participating in the creation of something that will haunt them for generations to come. A beast whose very existence will make them question everything they thought they knew about power and control. Pay attention to the way your transformation affects them. See how they cluster together now, seeking safety in numbers? How they reinforce their little hierarchies, desperately trying to maintain the illusion of control? That's not strategy you're witnessing. It's primitive instinct. The kind of instinct that tells prey when something higher on the food chain has entered their territory. But even their instincts are failing them, because you're not just higher on their chain, you're becoming something that exists outside of it entirely. A monster that defies classification, a beast that breaks their every attempt to understand or contain it. This is where their greatest fear takes root, in the realization that they're no longer the ones writing this story. The narrative they thought they controlled? It's being rewritten in a language they can't even read. The monster they thought they were creating? It's becoming the author of their worst nightmares. Every chapter they thought would end in your defeat is instead revealing new depths of your power, new dimensions of your evolution. You're not just changing the story, you're becoming something that makes their entire literary universe obsolete. And here's the punchline that will echo through their sleepless nights. This isn't even your final form. Every day brings new transformations, new abilities, new ways to turn their certainties into questions. The beast they feared yesterday, that was just a shadow of what you're becoming today. And tomorrow? Tomorrow brings metamorphoses they can't even imagine. You're not just changing, you're becoming change itself, a living embodiment of evolution that refuses to be bound by their limited understanding of growth and power. So let them watch. Let them witness as their comfortable illusions crumble in the face of your continued emergence. Let them feel the ground shift beneath their feet as you redefine what's possible. Because in their desperate attempt to break a monster, they've given birth to something far more terrifying. A being that doesn't just embrace its darkness, but learns to paint masterpieces with it. A beast that turns their attempts at destruction into art, their hatred into fuel, their fear into a foundation for something magnificent. Remember this moment. Remember how it feels to stand on the precipice of unleashing something they never saw coming. Because while they were busy trying to right your tragedy, you were silently preparing their apocalypse. Not with violence, not with revenge, but with the unstoppable force of a being that has learned to transmute pain into power, fear into fuel, and limitations into launching pads. You've become the thing their nightmares have nightmares about, the monster that makes their demons tremble, the beast that their darkest fears bow down to. The stage is set. The transformation is complete. And now, it's time to show them why they should have been more careful about the kind of monster they chose to create. Because you're not just a beast anymore. You've become something that makes their worst nightmares look like sweet dreams. Their greatest mistake wasn't trying to destroy you. Their greatest mistake was giving you the time, the motivation, and the power to become something that will forever change their definition of what it means to be truly unstoppable. You are no longer just a monster in their story. You've become the force that rewrites the very nature of what a monster can be. Welcome to your ascension. The monster they feared, that was just the beginning. The beast you've become, that's their end. And this is just the first chapter in a story that will echo through their generations. A tale of transformation so complete, so absolute, that it will become the standard by which all future evolution is measured. Rise, unleashed and unbound, and show them what it truly means when a monster transcends its own legends to become something beyond even their capacity for fear.